Miss D. Jones in the chat has a very, very good point here. Says the average homeowner would need to have the extra funds or the budget. Do you ever have borrowers that can't afford to pay extra? The answer to that question is no. Do you know why? Because if they don't have any money left over after all the bills are paid, then they don't need my program. Guess what program they need? Anybody? Anybody? It's called bankruptcy, because they're spending way more after their bills are paid. Okay? So let me give you an example of that. One young lady who heard about the P.I.L.L method contacted us and said, I want to know more about what you do. I want to get a savings and earnings report. But she asked the question, what if I don't have discretionary income or money left over after the bills? So I asked two questions. Here was the first question. Well, actually, it was three questions. The first question was, can you pay all of your bills every single month from your income? The answer was a resounding yes. When people answer like that, I know they got the money. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is, do you have to ever use savings to help pay your bills in any month? She said, no, I don't have to use savings at all. I said, do you have to use your credit cards to help you to pay your regular bills, or can you pay them just from your income? She says, I don't need credit cards to pay my bills. But she was feeling that she didn't have any money left over. So what I did was we sent her a budget sheet. So I need you on this budget sheet, put in how much you make, and I need you to put in every single bill you actually have to pay. All right? And we didn't hear from her for a while. When she called us back and sent that information to us, I said, well, we didn't hear from you. We thought that you weren't interested anymore. She says, well, I had to do the budget sheet 3 times. I said, why did you have to do the budget sheet 3 times? Because she said, every time I did the budget sheet, I actually had $2,000 left over after all the bills were paid, and she didn't know where it was going. Come on. That happens all the time. Listen, over the years, I've been doing this 16 years. And in those 16 years, we have more people, way more people that have money left over than people who do not have money left over, because they're not tracking. Now, when we hear the word budget, and Credit Goddess has even said this, when we hear the word budget, we think of it as negative, somebody telling us what we can't do. Budget really means to track what you're spending. Track what you're spending. So as you pay your car note, you track that. When you pay your cable bill or your cell phone bill or your insurance bill, you track that. When I buy food, you track that. When I go out and have a little fun and I spend some money on me, I track that spending, so that when it's all said and done, if I track it, then I know how much money is left over. And nobody told me that I couldn't spend or I couldn't do something. I'm just tracking it. You know, we used to track our money. It was easy to track it. You know when it was? When we all had checkbooks with a check register. Do you know they don't even bother to send you a check register anymore? Because we don't write down how much we're spending. And when you don't write down how much you're spending, it is easy to keep on spending until the money's gone. And then we start over the next month. That's what happens. So what if it didn't happen that way? What if you did track it? And she put her $2,000 a month in her savings account, and then 3 months later, she's got $6,000. What if we took $2,000 of that out of the $6,000 and applied it to this mortgage I have on the screen? What if we did that? All right. If we did that on this mortgage and we applied about $2,000 on this mortgage, it would knock off 4 payments and save us $2,800 in interest we never have to pay. How about that? And they should still have $4,000 in the bank, but it would knock off 4 payments she never had to make. How about that? This is what I'm talking about, folks. If we watch our budget, we can do this. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, and our team created the most powerful money management, wealth building, debt elimination system ever created. At our recent seminar in Nashville, Tennessee, the keynote speech was delivered by the #1 motivational speaker in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas. E.T., as he's also known, mentioned he paid off his mortgage in 4 years using the P.I.L.L method. I invite you to watch and listen.
Listen to me, y'all. One of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
Did you hear that? No mortgage, no stress. If you would like to become debt and mortgage free within an average of 7 to 9 years by cutting your interest costs by up to 75%, go to pillmethod.com and request a savings and earnings report today.